Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is going to be all about what you should know before becoming a medical coder and what I wish I would have known. If I would have known what I know now back then, what would I have done differently? Okay, so if you are new to my channel, I am an outpatient medical coder. I've been a medical coder for over 10 years. I am a certified coding associate through the American Health Information Management Association. Now, I'm going to preface this little part before I go on in the video. Now, yes, I have my CCA, and that is considered the entry-level credential, yes. I have a lot of stuff going on in the background that I do not talk about on my channel right now because I have to have a certain Chinese wall when I'm doing things. And to me, it's just my process and what I do. I will bring this stuff out in time. I'm just not doing it right now. So, again, we're not going to talk about me. We're just going to talk about what I would have done differently, okay? And what you should know. So if you are interested in the medical coding field, if you are doing your research right now, if you are a brand new medical coder and you're wondering, what am I in for? This video is for you. Okay, so let's start with the first part. What you should know before becoming a medical coder. It is a difficult field. I'm not going to lie. I have no dog in this fight. There's no reason for me to lie. It is a difficult field in the fact that you have to have a lot of technical knowledge and you have to be patient with yourself. You will constantly have to learn things. You will have to go through updates every single year because we go through updates every single year with the code sets. And whether it impacts you in your clinic, I don't know because the updates are different every single year. You do have to remember that we are transitioning to a different time now with everything with COVID right now. There's a huge slowdown on everything. Right now, no one is sitting for their certified credential exams, okay? Nobody. Either association, the American Health Information Management Association and the American Academy of Professional Coders. Everybody is at a stop right now. We don't know how long this is going to last. We don't know anything right now. There's projected dates of when they will resume, but it doesn't mean that that's actually going to happen. Okay, until we get COVID under control, we are at the mercy of this virus. But if you are trying to study and things like that, I have many videos where I give you guys study tips and things like that. But you should know before getting into it that while it is a very demanding career, it is very rewarding. What you learn every single day and what you do with that knowledge is going to be entirely up to you. And to me, if you're using it to build up more and more as far as like your relationships with your providers, with your relationship with your coworkers, that is really, really important, but mostly with your providers, okay? It takes a lot to be a good coder. It takes a lot to be a high caliber coder, which is what I always shoot for every single day. And when I talk on my channel, I don't talk about money because I could talk about money all day long, but it doesn't mean that it's right because so many people, when they're trying to tell people about medical coding, that's the first thing they talk about, like these recruiters. They would talk about the money. Yes, the money is of an interest because obviously if you're spending a lot of time away from your family, if you're spending a lot of time away from, your kids and things like that, you're going to want to know, is this going to be worth it? It absolutely is worth it if you ask me for my opinion. But if you are looking at it for the money, and that's why you want to get in and you want to just coast in and just do the easy stuff, this is not for you. This is for people who want to learn more, who dig, who try to find things to improve their provider, and because it's a relationship between coder and provider. Now, not all facilities are going to allow you to talk to the providers. The vast majority of them will. And I strongly advocate for this every time that you build good relationships because this stuff is important. For you that you are trying to understand what somebody who went to medical school, you have to be able to communicate with them. Now, we didn't go to medical school. The vast majority of us as medical coders, we don't go to medical school. A lot of us are high school graduates or we have our GED, and you're asking us to communicate with somebody who has knowledge 1,000 times greater than we do. That's why I'm telling you guys, this is a very complex and detailed field. Can anybody do it? if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything, which is a very good saying. I like that one. But when you are doing a field like this and you have to study and things like this, you have to believe in yourself and you have to give yourself credit for what you do know. And the fact that you're just building your knowledge every single day. Like I said, I've been in the field for over 10 years. I'm still building knowledge. There are still things that have to be explained to me. As far as like the technical stuff, when you are looking at records and things like that. But yes, you should know that. You should know that people are going to treat you differently, whether it is nurses that are going to treat you differently or whether it is doctors. A lot of times when you are first starting out, you need to make sure that you're professionally dressed. And I talk about this a lot because it's going to give you that extra respect. There are some medical coders that go to work that look like they're going to go to a concert. And then they wonder why their providers do not respect them. If you don't know somebody and that's the way they show up and they're there to tell you that you did something wrong, yeah, they're not going to be too happy about that just because of the way that you are dressed. Is it superficial? Absolutely. But it's part of it. And I'm being honest with you guys. And the fact that, yes, that is part of it. If you do not speak clearly, if you do not speak like your verbiage is if you're going in there smacking gum and things like that, that's not going to work either. Okay. You have to go in there and you have to be as professional as possible. Because again, you're dealing with people that are highly educated. So when you work in that kind of field, yeah, you're going to have to step up your game. And whether that is continuing to study or having to pay for continuing education units so that you can report them, so that you can maintain your medical coding credential. Because yes, we have to do that as well. That's something that you have to do. That's an added expense. Because with a good paying job comes, a lot more responsibility. Okay, so that's that part. If I could go back in time and do it again, do it all over again, what would I do differently if knowing then what I know now? I definitely would have gotten my CCS, which is the Certified Coding Specialist. That is, to me, in my opinion, that is the gold standard of medical coding credentials. Now, yes, there are some that are higher than that, but they're the degree programs. The RHIT, which is the Registered Health Information Technician, that's the associate's degree, and the Registered Health Information Management Administrator. That Registered Health Information... Oh, hey, wait, it's Registered Health Information Administrator. Sorry about that. That is the bachelor's degree with for HIM, for Health Information Management, through the American Health Information Management Association. So if I wasn't to do that, if I was to go with just the credentials like I have now, credential, I would go with the CCS, definitely, because this says that you can code both inpatient and outpatient coding. And the opportunities for the CCS is really great. I mean, there's so many more opportunities than there are for the CCA. A lot of times the CCA gets discounted when it shouldn't be, honestly. You hear a lot of trash talk. There's a lot of trash talk about the CCA and that, oh, it's just a beginner. And, some have a hard time looking for a job and trying to find a job because they have a CCA. And that's true for any brand new medical coder. And that's another thing too. When you're starting out, it does not matter what credential you hold. If you do not have experience, you will have a hard time finding a job in the beginning. I'm just saying. I don't know why that is. I mean, personally, to me, I think part of it is because we get paid so well that they want you to step right in and know what you're doing. The other part of it is just so many other things. If they're paying out all this money, again, they're going to want you to know what you're doing. So I really don't know why. It's hard to explain, but there are many ways to get in. You just have to be persistent and you have to be stubborn. Okay, you have to be where as many times as you get told no, you get right back up again. I looked for 2 months for a job, and there was a lot of times when it was very difficult for me because I did not have experience and I had a CCA. And a lot of people who don't understand what the CCA is or the capabilities of a person who holds a CCA are going to discount that CCA, which I think is wrong. I never look at the person's credential. I look at the caliber of the coder. That's how I form an opinion about anybody. And I can pretty much tell, especially being that I've been in it for a long time, I can tell what potential a person will have. And I can actually tell now, even more so when I get questions in, I can tell who's going to want to learn more, who's going to push themselves to learn more, who's not going to give up, and who is not going to let the fact that they have to knock on a lot of doors deter them from getting into this field. I can also tell the people that are going to get really discouraged fast, and that it's going to be difficult for them, and that some, unfortunately, I know are going to give up because they can't find a job. Now, if you're getting to that point, if you're at that point, there are, like I said, there are many ways to try to get in, but it's going to depend on, there's so many variables, from like where you are in the US to where you're applying and how you're applying and what your resume looks like and how you're presenting yourself. There are so many variables to that. So again, it's really going to boil down to what you are presenting. Now, yes, there are some people that do every single thing right. And I feel for those people because they just can't get their foot in the door anywhere. If I had my way, I would hire brand new coders. I would welcome them with open arms. I would. And I guess this goes to like what if I could go back and know then what I know now, I definitely would have built a company somehow, some way. I don't know if it would be like a school or if it would be like a job. I think it's more of like a job though, where, I would train people so they can get their experience and then move on if they wanted to, and that they were brand new. I would take on brand new people because yes, veteran coders are great. I like veteran coders. Of course, I like any medical coder, right? But veteran coders sometimes develop habits that are difficult to break. And sometimes they get very set in their ways. And sometimes they'll share knowledge with you that you may not have known. That's the beauty part of it. But when you are a brand new medical coder and you're very excited about getting into the field and you want to get into the field, you want to learn, there are those types of people, and they just are like an open sponge. They just take everything in. Now, there are veteran coders that are like that as well, but sometimes it's not so. It just depends on that person. It's the personality of the person as well, and what their experiences have been. So I like working with veteran coders. I like working with brand new coders. So like I said, if I had my way, and I know I would have definitely started way back then. I would have started with the CCS, so that way I could be given more of an opportunity to work inpatient or outpatient. I definitely would have done that because, like I said, it's a gold standard of medical coding credentials. Again, this is just my opinion. Everybody has their own opinions about different credentials and things. But again, I look at the caliber of the coder. I probably would have gone to college to get, back then, I would have definitely done the degree route. But not knowing anything about the field, right? How do you know if you're passionate about it? How do you know that you want to get into debt, to go to school? And I don't like the idea of getting into debt just to get educated. I don't like that idea, but that is the world that we live in. Like I said, I probably would have done the degree route way back when. Probably got the RHIA because those people can run hospitals, they can run big corporations as far as like the health information side. And I think that's an awesome position to be in because you have a lot of creative, flexible control over what you oversee, whatever it is. And to me, I would like to be in a position where I could train people to be these, not Stepford, I don't want to say Stepford, but just high caliber medical coders that, are very good and detailed, that think critically all the time. Because you will find in your career as a medical coder, as you go on, that there are people that don't want to try, that they get out of school, they get their credential, and then they're done. They don't want to study. They want to be told what to code, and that's it. They don't want to push, and they don't want to learn and develop more. Every day for me is a development, and it's a development to becoming a better coder every single day. That's what I strive to do, because I feel like my providers deserve it. I feel like the patients that they serve deserve to have somebody who cares enough when they're looking at their chart to make sure that they are not going to be overcoded or undercoded, so that the patient can pay appropriately for the services that were rendered to them. I think that is huge. That is a huge part of what we do. You will find that providers may argue with you and tell you no, that they want this to be picked up and they want this diagnosis to be picked up. But if it's not there, it did not happen. And that is a huge saying in our world as medical coders. If it's not documented, it did not happen. Bottom line. And you have to be able to support everything that you are doing. I've said this on many videos. When I was little, I wanted to be an attorney. That was my goal in life, was to be an attorney. So from the time I was very small to adulthood, I was always arguing and trying to show how my argument was correct. Whether it was like showing a book or showing something or some reference or whatever, something that had some substance to it to support my argument. I have to do that now. As a medical coder, I have to do that now. I always have to have a resource to back up my argument, and it's, when you go up against people who have experience or who have higher credentials than you have to be able to do that. You have to be able to support your argument. You have to be able to say that yes, while you have all these other credentials, I have to show you that this part is correct. What I'm saying is correct, and so it does make it difficult for some people, they don't want to hear it. And especially when it's somebody that has a credential like mine, I don't think there's anything wrong with my credential, honestly, whatever, but I mean, there's some people that look at it and dismiss it as oh, you're a brand new coder. No, not true. I just have experience and I've got stuff going on. So, I don't worry about it. I really don't worry about what anybody thinks about my credential anymore, because I know what I know, but again, I probably would have gotten the CCS back then. I probably would have done the RHIA program. I probably would have done that. But again, I have had to have all these experiences in order to get me here. Because, like I said, up until a few years ago, I wasn't here. I didn't understand fully the weight of what I did. It was a job for a long time, but now it's not a job. It's a career, I would have gone to the association coder conferences way back then as well. I only started going in 2014. I'm probably not going to go to Hotlanta this year. I'm very, very disappointed. But with COVID, I don't know how long this is going to last again, so we don't know. And next year is going to be in Houston. Hopefully I'll be able to go to Houston. We'll see. Hopefully this thing will be under control well before then. But I definitely would have done that way back then, But going to conference does cost money. It is very expensive. And some associations, not associations, some companies do pay for their people to go. I am not high up enough on the food chain to go, for them to pay me to go. So I do get administrative leave, so I do get that, but I pay for everything out of pocket. And that's the way it is. And I mean, to me, it's all right. To me, I'm investing in myself and I'm investing in my knowledge. But going to my first conference, which was in 2014, I went to, I want to say Oceanside. I went to San Diego, was really awesome. And it so opened my eyes to so many things. And it just unleashed from there. It's like it was just like this. I mean, I was already into it, but I wasn't, I learned so much more going, and I was just like, ooh, and that just excited me even more. And I started learning about different things like the Coding Companion and just different books that I could get to research and further my development. If I knew then what I know now, I would have been subscribing to the New England Journal of Medicine way back then. I read that. I subscribe to them, and they send me journals, and I love reading it because I love reading from the perspectives of the providers, because I feel like that helps me to learn more about them and their thought process. And if I can get in their head and get into their thought process, then that helps me to understand what they're documenting even better. And it also helps me to understand what the heck they're doing, because I see a lot of the articles and I'm reading the articles. It doesn't make sense. Then I'm listening. I don't want to say eavesdropping. Eavesdropping is such an ugly word, you know? But I am in the hallway and they are talking. I can hear the surgeons talking, and they'll say, oh, well, this, and this procedure, I did this, and I did this trocar here, and I did this, and I was like, I said, I know what you're talking about. Of course, I say this to myself, you know, because I'm not going to be like, oh, you know, but I'm just, you know, listening, and I'm like, I get it. I understand it now. It makes more sense. I would have watched YouTube videos to understand surgeries as a student way back then. I would definitely do that because understanding the procedure is going to help you to understand the coding part of it. Okay? That's really huge. I'm just saying. Yeah. And if I could turn back the clock, I would definitely practice more patience with myself and just remember to just study. And that's all you can do. So I know I say study a lot. And I'm glad I'm doing these videos because I didn't think about these videos back then. And I know that there's just a handful of us on here as medical coders. I don't watch other medical coders channels at all as a personal rule, because I want my content to stay clean. You know, I want what I think, my thoughts that's going on in my head. I don't want to think about somebody else's thoughts and opinions and if we agree or if we disagree. And that way I can bring you all clean content. Now, our content may be similar, but I don't watch what they say. I don't watch their videos at all. You know, none of them. But there's not a lot of us on here. And I think that's unfortunate because sometimes, like, if you're sharing information, it's good. You know, it's good to share information. I don't know why, you know, but I don't mind. I don't mind coming on here. I've had people who disagree, and I've had people who really agree, and I've had people that are thankful for just sharing this information, because now stuff makes sense to them. And sometimes that's what we need. A lot of times we're learning things independently, and it's hard to learn things independently, especially this field. A lot of what you're going to learn independently. So if you can find somebody who can explain things to you, it makes it a lot better. It makes it a lot easier, because otherwise we're stuck doing research and reading articles to try to figure stuff out. So that's why I bring all my knowledge here, and I hope that it helps somebody. And I talk about things on my channel so that people know everything. They know the detail stuff. They know things that people would not normally say. I don't say the things that a recruiter's going to say because I don't believe this field is for everybody. Is it a good paying field? Heck yes. But I don't think that it's for everybody. I think that some people would get very frustrated with it. And some people have the misconception that it's just a very solitary field. It is, it can be, but it doesn't have to be. And for me, I choose to make it not a solitary field. When I am at work, because right now I'm at home, working at home because of COVID. When I am at work, I am very engaged with my providers. I am very hands-on. Out of the entire hospital, I have a reputation for being the most hands-on with my providers. And they are also the top performing in the hospital. And why is that? Because I take the time and I care and I make sure that they know and we talk. No matter how gruff they get or anything, I always make sure I have their back. And that's something I wish I would have known back then too, to talk to them more. Because I didn't until a few years ago. Anyway, but yeah, that's my story, and that's what I would have done, and that's what I want to share today with you guys. If you're interested in the field, it is an amazing field. It's just a lot. It's a lot of reading, and it's a lot of studying, and basically you have to know things that doctors know while never having gone to medical school. So while yes, it is a huge undertaking, you'll never get bored. I'm just saying. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this one up. So if you are a medical coder, a medical coding student, somebody curious about the fascinating world of medical coding, a provider or a nurse, I invite you to like and subscribe and follow me on my journey in medical coding. And if this video helped you, please share it and give it a thumbs up. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.